Ready to open your next location? The real question is, can your current restaurant run profitably for 3 straight months without you there? A lot of owners can't say yes, not because they're bad operators, but because their systems are still too dependent on their direct involvement. I'm going to share a practical checklist and 2 real-world examples to show you what makes multi-unit growth possible. We'll cover the 3 pillars that every successful expansion needs: financial readiness, a smart site strategy, and systems that still work without you. Let's start with the financial traps that can sink new locations before they even open. Too many new locations fail not because the guests stop coming, but because the financial foundation wasn't solid before the first plate left the kitchen. You can have a strong menu and great service, but if your cost structure can't handle the pressure of multi-unit operations, cracks show fast. Let's say your first store is humming along with great reviews and lines out the door. Buoyed by that success, you sign a lease for location number 2. 6 months later, the food is just as good, but sales aren't matching projections. Cash reserves shrink, payments to suppliers slip, and payroll weeks turn stressful. One major culprit? Labor. It's the single biggest cost when scaling. When you're running multiple stores, the costs of turnover multiply quickly. The CEO of Pepper Lunch, Troy Hooper, stresses that to be competitive, he points to unit-level EBITDA north of 20% as the kind of numbers that make expansion viable. You can offset these costs with proactive systems. Take Jeremiah's Italian Ice. They built a formalized Cool School to standardize training across locations, which I'll talk more about later. This structure cuts the friction and expense of ramping up new staff, reducing turnover pressure and protecting your margins. Before you commit, audit your labor forecasting accuracy, EBITDA, gross margins, and the strength of your training systems. A strong, documented track record in these areas signals that you're financially equipped for the leap. But even the most detailed financial plan can fail if your new store opens in the wrong market. Choosing the right market is a make or break decision, and guessing wrong can set you back years. Troy Hooper says real estate is the second most important decision you can make after choosing a business partner, and that means you can't afford to approach it casually. Pepper Lunch's approach is the concentric market strategy, expanding into areas right next to your current locations. This keeps supply runs short, lets you work with the same trusted vendors, and helps you tap into a similar customer base. Hooper recommends backing this strategy with real data. Using tools like geofencing, you can see where your current customers come from, like Pepper Lunch did. Here's how it works in practice. You gather data by drawing a virtual perimeter around your store and gathering anonymous mobile device data from nearby visitors. This shows where your guests live, work, and how far they're willing to drive. Overlay that with demographic data, age, income, lifestyle, to identify profitable overlaps. When Pepper Lunch did this, they learned that 50% of their customer base were under 30, a fact that directly influenced where they chose to expand. Identifying these patterns lets you target markets that already match your customer profiles, instead of hoping that a new area will learn to love you. Hooper warns against planting a single flag in a distant market, unless you have a national brand or a large budget. For most operators, expanding outward from a stronghold is the safer, more practical option. Site selection also means looking at operational realities, like second-generation spaces, locations that already have food service infrastructure in place, or pads near complementary co-tenants who draw your same target customer. Positioning near a busy coffee chain or high-traffic grocer means you tap into existing patterns without trying to create new ones from scratch. And a final critical piece of advice, always have your own professional site representation before signing a lease. Hooper cautions against calling the number on a for lease sign without having professional help to understand how viable the space is for your brand. These safeguards protect you from costly surprises. Next week, we're diving deeper into site selection, so make sure you're subscribed so you know when it drops. Of course, picking the right market is only one part of making your next location succeed. Even a perfect site can fail if daily execution slips, and that comes down to whether your operation can run to standard without you in the building. To make multi-unit growth sustainable, you need a restaurant that runs the same way every day without relying on you to steer it in real time. The first building block is a formalized training system. Jeremiah's Italian Ice puts training at the center of its growth model, with Cool School for in-person onboarding, Leap LMS for ongoing digital modules, and a Train the Trainer program to develop internal leaders. This structure keeps standards consistent, prevents knowledge from bottlenecking with one manager, and allows a second unit to ramp without pulling the owner in to solve basic problems. The second building block is microlearning and reinforcement. Platforms like ArrowUp offer short, role-specific lessons and checklists that staff can access exactly when they need them. This approach reduces error, keeps daily performance aligned with the brand, and eliminates the need for the owner to constantly retrain. The third building block is operations tech and analytics. You need systems that produce actionable daily KPIs, not just raw data. A POS with integrated analytics can give you real-time sales performance, while an automated scheduling tool like 7shifts can forecast sales and align staffing levels, ensuring you're not overspending on labor. Inventory costing platforms like Margin Edge can flag food cost variance before it affects profit. Garrett Mills of Uncommon Brands uses both of these tools to make sure decisions are based on current, accurate numbers, not end-of-month surprises. Operational choices also play a big role in repeatability. Jeremiah's once piloted a streamlined 14-flavor menu to cut labor complexity, reduce equipment needs, and help franchisees hit labor targets. Simplifying the product offering made it easier for new stores to open quickly and maintain profitability. And a smart people strategy matters just as much. Chris Britt of Agave and Rise said, "The steepest operational jump is going from 1 to 2 locations." Andrew Scott and Nathan Vulgaris of Ownershift say you should develop both an heir, a general manager ready to take full control, and a spare, a trained assistant who can step up. Plan for at least 6 months of training runway before you can expect them to operate independently. A quick self-audit can reveal whether you're there yet. Can a trained GM open and run a store for 30 days straight without you? Do you have documented SOPs and a train-the-trainer plan that gets new managers ready in 6 to 12 weeks? When these building blocks work together, stores stay in sync, staff turnover drops, and you're free to manage growth instead of emergencies. From here, the question shifts from whether you can expand to whether your numbers and your systems prove that you should. So let's wrap up with your 4-question readiness checklist for expansion. First, are your unit level finances solid with an EBITDA above 20% and healthy, stable gross margins? Second, have you validated your next market with real data, not just a hunch? Third, do you have a repeatable training system and a clear plan to develop your leaders? And finally, is your operations tech in place to give you the real-time insights that you need? If you missed a box, don't worry. That's just your roadmap to figure out what to focus on first. And we're here to help you get there. If you're interested to learn more about Pepper Lunch's geofencing strategy or Jeremiah's training programs, watch their episodes on the Pre-Shift podcast. Once you open, read our guide on how to manage multiple locations in the description box. What's your single biggest roadblock to opening the next store? Comment below and let us know. If you got something useful out of this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more content on how to scale your restaurant successfully.